Hey folks, I'm Matt Masur from Growth Mode Content. Welcome to the Details in the Deal. I am so excited to be back here with our superstar. And you're going to hear a little bit why you're superstar, and I don't want to give a little spoiler away, but Christine's going to tell you about some real estate business that we did together on
Very
this
exciting.
episode. Christine O'Connell Moore, the host of this incredible show. Thank you for having me back.
Thank you, Matt. I always appreciate it.
I love being here. You know, I love talking real estate, and you always have the inside track, which is so cool.
Got to do it. You got to tell the people what's going on and
That's it.
share our news, which is very exciting. We're going to have a special guest later in the show,
Yeah.
Ryan Benz, who's a developer in the area. He actually calls himself an entrepreneur, a developer, a business owner, a restaurateur. I like all of his adjectives. And he's going to come and talk about some of the things that he's doing in the central New York market. And he has both restaurants and apartment buildings and does development. So I'm excited that he'll be on with us later.
I'm really excited about that too. I don't know Ryan well, but I know of him, and we have, endless mutual friends. And I know nothing but him being an incredibly interesting guy. So this is going to be something. I don't want to encourage folks to fast forward the podcast
Oh,
and
no.
skip over me, but he's going to be the gold in this episode.
Yeah, he will. Well, he will be part of the pot of gold in the episode. That's for sure.
I like
Ryan's
that.
a great guy.
I like that.
Well, I think we shouldn't hold people in suspense any longer.
Yeah.
We should tell them what's going on.
Let's do that.
This is going to be your baby. So why don't you announce, and then we'll talk about how we work together on it.
So for some background, here at our content company, we are based in East Syracuse. And this room that you see us in right now is a studio where we took our traditional IT business, and I took a section of space in our IT office, and we built this studio, right? And we've been making podcasts for Christine and so many other local businesses here over the last just under a year. And through that, we've been doing great, and people have been loving it. And, I am the type of entrepreneur that as soon as something cool starts, the next thing I'm thinking about is how to make it cooler, right? And how to take things up to the next level. And long story short, the idea is that we need more space. We need some different, more unique sets and things like that. Because as cool as this is, we got this awesome video wall. But even though we can put different backgrounds up, you're going to have the same sort of look, and we want to keep things fresh and keep it interesting and have new opportunities. So we've been looking for bigger space. Christine and I have looked at a number of local places, a couple to purchase, a couple to rent. One that we won't get into details of that we passed on, and it's probably for the best, but incredible space. And then one day, as I'm combing through the local commercial real estate listings, as I do for a hobby, I see the most unique space in the city of Syracuse available on this real estate site. And I'm reasonably sure it was like late on a Saturday night or something, but I immediately sent it over to Christine and said, "Hey, can we look at this place?" Thinking maybe it's going to be another one of these many long shots that we've looked at or didn't work out or for whatever reason. Long story short, we got a lease.
We do. We just signed a lease.
And Christine, if you want to just sort of I know I haven't even mentioned necessarily where yet, but if you want to just kind of fill in the blanks of my story a little bit from your side, I'd love to get that, and then we can tell folks exactly where we're going.
Great. So it's always nice when someone's excited about a space, because that's half the battle, right? And I didn't feel as if I had to convince you that this was a good location for you. So
Sure.
And you had already identified it for yourself. So we met, I think that Monday or Tuesday, right after the weekend, and toured the space. You were excited about what you saw. What it could be.
Yeah.
And it has great parking. It's really accessible for people. And it has very unique surroundings, both inside and out, which is pretty cool. So shall we tell them where it is?
We should.
Okay. So it is what will be known as the former Spaghetti Warehouse space on North Clinton Street in Syracuse, which is on the lakefront. Minutes to the new aquarium.
Yeah.
Minutes to downtown. Minutes to 81 and at Destiny USA. So in an absolutely fantastic, both developed and what I would also say upcoming area. Both,
Yeah.
right? First floor of about a 5 or 6 story apartment building with retail and offices on the first floor, which will now be offices for you.
Yeah.
And plenty of space for growth.
Yeah.
plenty of space for really interesting backgrounds for you. Why don't you share a little bit about what you
Yeah,
saw?
yeah. So, um, first and foremost, the space is close to 17,000 square feet.
Yes.
It's massive. And that was the first thing that attracted it to me. And in all honesty, if we step back for a second, as I'm searching for places originally, I'm sorting by the amount of space.
Hmm.
Because typically, what most people in our businesses do for this is they go rent a warehouse. They just get a massive, wide open space and they build different sets and things like that in the open space. So that's what I was looking for. I was looking for as much space as I could possibly get. Um, and when you sort by that, there aren't too many listings that are that big. And right at the top of the list was that one. Um, if you've been into the place, you know that they've got a train car in the middle of one of the dining rooms. They've got multiple dining rooms. What you might not realize is there's a kitchen space, which we're not going to make use of. We're going to use that as something other than a kitchen. But that's close to 3,000 square feet, which is the size of our current entire unit. Then there's a back sort of work storage, not even really used too much space. That's another 3,000 square feet. And these are the spaces that are sort of behind the scenes that I think people don't even realize that we're going to be able to make use of. So what was most attractive to us, and one of the reasons that I'm very excited about this space as a content creator, is we're going to maintain so many of the elements that were, I guess we'll say, original or going to be left from the spaghetti warehouse. We're going to not take that and bulldoze it and start fresh in an empty space. We're really going to try to embrace the history and so much of the decor and the natural brick on the walls. All of these will make for gorgeous podcast and content sets. And if you think about it, most of these videos you watch, they're long, they're narrow. You don't see much more than you see on the sides of me here. And in this space, we have different walls and different textures and different everything where we'll literally be able to take a camera and just turn around the room and there'll be radically different sets. So, so many options for our content creators and clients, like I said, that we won't have to do a lot of major renovation to make use of. And that's one of the things that was most attractive to us. Plus that element, like I said, we will have now sort of immortalized in both ours and our content, our clients' content, this beautiful sort of historic space that people have loved fondly in Syracuse for almost 40 years. I know there's no doubt going to be some sad faces when they hear that the restaurant is going to be no longer, but we're going to do our best to really honor that history and like I said, show off a lot of the elements that people know and remember and love from that place. So I'm very excited.
It is very exciting. And from a strictly real estate lease point of view, there was some exciting things that happen. I mean, you're not asking the landlord to do much in the way of capital improvements to
Yeah.
the space, nor what we call tenant improvements in the business, and that was a real advantage to the landlords. Landlords are from New York City. They take great care of their building. They have very full apartments there, and they are, but they really weren't interested in spending a lot of money, and sometimes it can be hundreds of thousands of
Yeah.
dollars when you turn over a space of that size. So
In
you
terms
were
of
very
typically what you mean is another tenant, say I was a doctor's office or something and I
yes,
wanted that space, typically they would be on the hook to make that a
exactly.
doctor's office, right?
Yes, that would be the tenant improvements. And either they would pay for them completely or they would amortize them over the term of your lease. In this case, you're willing to make the improvements that
Yeah.
need to happen. And you're looking at the space going, geez, I can use this space, a lot of it as
Right.
is, right? So, and you can make improvements as the years go on
Yeah.
too. So I think that it's a real win-win situation for both the building and for yourself.
Yeah, I do too, and I'm very excited. And I got to say that I can't thank you enough
Well,
for
thank
what
you.
you've done. And I mean, you know, a lot of people see these things, and truth be told, I've rented a number of commercial spaces for my businesses over the years. I've never used a professional. I've always done it myself and negotiated these things. And I guess to some degree, I guess I might not have even realized that that is something. You know, you think of someone like you when you go purchase a place. I think it's huge, and this is going to be my best advice for anybody. Get with a commercial real estate professional, ideally Christine,
Thank you.
even if you're going to lease a place.
Absolutely.
Because there were so many things that I would have never thought about, advantages that we were able to get because you know to ask for them. Um, and so many of the other headaches that I would have pulled a little bit of my remaining hair out about. Oh no, it's a standard thing. We do this. I take care of it. And There's a lot to be said about working with a professional, and especially someone like Christine, who just really got this thing across the finish line for us.
Well, I appreciate that you called me. I appreciate your business and certainly your compliments. It's what I do, and I love doing it, and I love working with you because
Yeah.
we both love real estate. So that's cool. So again, win-win. And I can't wait for us to do our ribbon cutting.
Yes.
Yes,
I'm very excited about that.
excellent.
We're gonna make a lot of noise. So
Good. That's good.
in
That's
good
good.
ways.
So you'll be
I,
so more details to
don't
come.
listen to the people in the apartments above us. I'm not going to make a lot of noise to you.
No, no, you won't make as much noise as the existing tenant who's there, I'm
I'll
sure.
tell you what, I have since I've talked to a very small number of people knew before we announced it publicly, but the ones that did told me apparently those apartments are absolutely gorgeous.
They
And
are.
not that I'm in the market for an apartment, but
Yes.
I would just love to see that because I
Right.
love these old historic buildings, and we have so many in Syracuse where people have taken the time to embrace the beauty of these buildings and turn them into neat spaces. And I just think it's awesome.
Well, this is Outer Franklin Square / lakefront area for people who know the area. I'd like to do a shout out to Kevin Valenti and Louis Fernier at Sutton Real Estate, who have been really helpful. They're the listing company on this, and really helpful in working with us and got us in there when we needed to. And always nice to have a cooperative team.
Yes,
Yes,
100%.
excellent. Well, speaking of medical space that you mentioned,
Yeah.
moving on, I want to move on to our listing of the month.
Oh,
Okay, so this is a very cool building that I really want to find the right tenant or
Okay.
buyer for. It's 3229 East Genesee Street. Anyone familiar with Syracuse? It's right across from Nottingham High School.
okay.
It's the former Joslin Medical Center, a Joslin Diabetes Center,
I see.
22,500 square feet.
Wow.
There are 34 exam rooms. There are conference rooms, there's laboratories, there's infusion rooms, beautiful big reception area. If you've ever been to an SOS reception area, it
Okay.
looks just like that. In fact, 2 tenants ago, it was an SOS. It is really a turnkey situation.
Wow.
The most, we talked about medical space a
Sure.
little bit before, and that is one of the most expensive spaces
Yeah.
to build out. There's water everywhere in this building, and
Gotcha.
bringing the plumbing in is very expensive typically. Single floor on slab. There is an AT&T tower on the roof, which brings in over $35,000 a year in income.
Oh, wow.
That's without any other tenants in the building. Great parking. It is on the city of Syracuse border. You can see the town of DeWitt sign, just to give you a sense of where it is. So you're going to grab people from all over the county to come there. And I have owners who are ready to put a really aggressive leasing program in there,
Wow.
as well as they would sell it for the right price.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And it's a single unit, so one tenant in that space?
Well, there was one tenant. It could easily be divided into about 8,000 square feet,
Oh, wow.
and then 13 to 14,000 square feet.
Wow.
There's actually there's an entrance and an exit, so those could be divided up so
Yeah.
that you could use them for both tenants. It could also, with some work, be divided even further. We'd like to try to keep it to 2 tenants if
Yeah.
possible, though, just because that's how the building makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's interesting, those medical spaces. Like you said, it's expensive to build out, but one of the reasons is, because they have those individual exam rooms.
Yes.
And, to me, maybe I'm old school, but I'm used to buildings and offices with offices, right? And individual rooms. And it seems like we've gotten away from that. We've got these wide open spaces and bullpens. And to me, a doctor's office is kind of attractive because you have those individual private spaces that, even if they're not exam rooms, they're just traditional offices. I don't know.
Yes.
Again, maybe I'm old school, but
No,
I think that's a lot of opportunity.
the whole back section of the building are individual offices because Joslin did a lot of education for diabetes, and
Gotcha.
they would bring in their patients and,
wow.
and talk with them. And there's probably 24 6 by 10 offices, no plumbing, just strictly
Sure.
offices back there. And those could be certainly used for admin. Joslin had a huge back office operation in there,
Oh, wow.
which could become cubicles if you need that sort of
Yeah.
situation. They were very happy there, and then SUNY Upstate built the big, the Nappy building next
Uh-huh.
to the hospital downtown and moved them over there.
Gotcha.
So that's the only reason they moved, because
I see.
the patients loved it, and so did the people who worked there too.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal spot. I mean, what a great opportunity for somebody.
It's great, and my owners really didn't want to sell before, but they're really ready to do that.
Oh.
They are in some other projects right now, and
Gotcha.
they're more motivated to sell than they used to be.
Gotcha. Well, that's great to know.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. So we will. So that's our listing of the month, and I'm going to be having another open house there soon too.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Do you find, I know we always talk about, in the residential market, everybody's always talking about these open houses and things, going to look at new houses. Is that something you do as frequently with commercial listings?
I would say not, certainly not, every weekend like some people do with certain houses,
Yeah.
but certainly on a launch, and we have launched it in the past. And then sometimes we'll do a refresh, especially if we have a new package like we do now with
Oh, wow.
with aggressive owners who are willing to put, $1 to $2 million into the building for the right tenant.
Wow, that makes
Those are big numbers.
Yeah,
And again, going back to tenant improvements, which we talked about in the
right.
beginning, that's huge. But they will do that for a long-term lease.
Sure.
So open houses are popular. A lot of times it's the brokers who will come, and sometimes
I see.
they'll bring their clients with them. It's a good way of networking too.
Yeah.
We'll have breakfast or lunch or
makes
whatever
sense.
the time of the day it is, and it's a good way to get people through your building talking about it, and then you talk about other things with them too.
Sure.
So it's an excellent networking opportunity, and I think that my clients like that too. They
That's
like to see
great.
the people in the building.
Absolutely. Cool.
Yes, we're ready to make appointments to show at any time.
Let's fill it up.
Absolutely. So
What else is happening around town?
a couple weeks ago, I returned from Saratoga, New York, and boy, fall is a beautiful time to go to Saratoga, New York. It was the weather was stunning.
Yeah.
I had a lovely walk. Met with my best friend from high school when I was
Oh,
up
wow.
there, which was kind of fun. But I was really there for a business conference. But I had a little bit of private time on the side, which was great. So I was attending the APS of New York conference, which is Apartment Professionals Trade Society, which is why we call it APS because
Okay.
it's a lot, which is the leading apartment society
I see.
in association in the state, and my company was one of the main sponsors of the event.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I had a couple hundred people who are apartment owners and managers and vendors who attended, and it was at the Gideon Putnam Hotel, which
Wow.
is a kind of a legacy resort up there, kind of old school.
Wow.
One of those places where you see huge closets, so you know that people used to come and spend the summers there.
Yep.
So that was kind of fun. It was interesting to see the rooms and how they tried to have things like modern flat screen TVs along with things from the 20s.
I gotcha.
The 1920s.
Right, right.
Right. So that was a very interesting conference, a trade show, and education. I attended a couple of the sessions. One of them was titled "Pets Are the New Kids," and discussing pets in apartments.
Interesting.
And everybody wants a dog, everybody wants a cat, and people have more cats and dogs in apartments today than they have kids.
Really?
Yes, I thought that was a very interesting statistic. If apartments are having problems renting and they have vacancies, if all of a sudden they allow pets, it makes a big difference in their revenue stream.
That's very interesting to me. So what you're saying is that's now, and correct me if I'm wrong, now kind of the professional guidance that people should allow pets, right? Is that what you're telling me? Where traditionally it was always like that's a last resort and nobody wants anything to do with that.
Right. I think if there are properties that do not allow pets,
Sure.
and I respect that, of course. And and if you have allergies and that sort of thing, that's a good
Yeah.
thing. But if you have occupancy issues and you want to make a fast change in your property, I'm finding that that's a great way for people to have higher occupancy. And they can charge $100 or more for
Right.
a month for a pet, and they can charge pet fees, and but you have to be a responsible pet owner, of course.
Sure.
And if you allow pets, then you don't have to be as strict with people about is this an assistance dog? Because a lot
Gotcha.
of there are people who will try to fake that too and get fake
Well, and that's
certificates
sort of
and
the other
things.
side, right?
Right.
Even if you say, I don't want pets in my building, if someone gets a service animal,
Right, you
it's
have
not
to
up
allow
you.
that. Right, exactly.
So you might
Yes.
as well embrace it.
Yes, and you can put limitations on sizes of dogs and that sort of
Gotcha.
thing, and numbers of pets in your,
Yeah.
and I don't think you want to have 30 snakes and that sort of thing, but people have all kinds of animals today, and it's quite interesting.
If you watch the gentleman that ran for mayor of New York City, they did a tour. I blanked Curtis somebody. They did a tour of his apartment, and he's got I think 8 cats in his
Yes.
New York City apartment.
Wow. I didn't think there'd be room.
To me, there's not.
Yeah,
but
right, yeah.
Curtis
Curtis Silway, right, yes, yes.
He was very, and you could see
Yeah.
they showed around. The cats couldn't be happier, and he kind of showed how he he does it, and both he and those animals look like they couldn't be happier. So I think that's great that we're now allowing people those opportunities.
I think it is, and people are living in apartments longer because houses are expensive, and they're saving for their down
Yeah.
payments, and people get great comfort from their animals. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a very interesting conversation. There's a lady who goes around the country educating apartment
Really?
owners on this. If anybody wants her contact information, I'm happy to provide it. And it was fascinating, really.
Yeah.
And the other seminar that I attended was regarding AI and EQ, emotional qualities, and artificial intelligence, and how you need to have both of those to run your apartment complexes, which I thought was very interesting.
Wow.
Home is personal for people, and they don't want to just look at ads in the paper and make its decisions.
Right.
They really want to feel like it's going to be a place they're going to live for at least a year, probably with a year's lease.
Sure.
And it was an interesting conversation on how to combine those two things.
Wow.
Because sometimes people don't have good emotional IQ.
Yeah.
And so learning to do that, and learning to do it along with the technology that you need today to run your operations.
Yeah, that's great. I love to hear that all these different industries are exploring these things and recognizing that, especially in real estate, because you hear a lot about now these big hedge funds and these corporate buyers of properties that are stereotypically sort of soulless entities, right?
Yes.
And promoting the idea that you need to be a human to take good care of folks in their homes,
Right.
is a message that I love to hear that folks are spreading. So that's great.
It makes a difference. And of course, turnovers are expensive. And so if you can keep someone for more than 1 year, that makes a
Yeah.
huge difference in your bottom line.
That's something that I've always preached is being good to people is actually good for business.
Absolutely.
And then, a lot of times, you can't be too friendly. Well, no,
Yeah.
that's, I don't know.
Appropriately friendly.
Right.
That's what you want to be, right? You want to be.
Understanding.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, people, it's home
Yeah.
for people, and they want to feel that way.
I
Yes.
love that.
So this is an annual conference that happens every September. So if you're in the apartment business, I would encourage people to look into it. And again, I'd be happy to provide more information.
Is it a New York-based organization?
New
Are they-
York-based,
Yeah,
yes,
cool.
yes, yeah. Primarily upstate, and we have
Gotcha.
some other fellow organizations downstate.
Cool.
But we have lobbyists, and I'm on their board of directors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things happening in the government as far as landlord-tenant rules and
Yeah.
laws and that sort of thing. So, and some of them are really good, and some of them are onerous. So we need to keep on top of it.
Just as a small aside, one of the things that we went through in negotiating this lease with our property and things like that is that the owners are from New York City. So they
Yes.
had a lot of sort of New York City specific language. And at some point, I think it might be a good podcast topic for us to kind of just discuss. Maybe we could find a New York, your counterpart in the city maybe, and just sort of discuss those, because I think that's
Sure.
interesting in the same state.
I would love to do that. Yeah, we had Jamie Kane on from Buffalo, an attorney from Buffalo, early in the podcast, and she talked about the New York State rental laws and that sort of thing, and primarily upstate.
Yeah.
But a lot of these changes start downstate because there's so many more people.
Sure.
And so what happens downstate eventually comes upstate,
Yeah.
whether we need it or not, to be honest.
Right.
Yes. So no, that's great. We'll look into somebody maybe for early next year.
I just think that'd be a neat conversation.
Definitely. Well, before we go into Ryan, let's talk about just a few things new in the marketplace.
got it.
Okay. So we've talked in the past about hotels becoming apartments.
Yeah.
Yes. So now we've got some new hotels, which is kind of cool. So
Because we used them all to become apartments,
That's
right? And so
right.
now we still need somebody to stay the night.
everything's cyclical, right?
Yeah.
So and I love this because I have childhood memories of this area. So in Oswego County in Fulton, which for those who aren't familiar, is just north of Syracuse, and I'm really hot on Oswego County because of what's happening with Micron. And
Yeah.
we'll talk more about Micron next month. There's
Sure.
a lot of things happening there. But they just approved a Hampton Inn in Fulton,
Oh, wow.
where the Nestle's factory was.
Really?
Yes, and I don't know if you ever went through the Nestle's through
I've
Fulton
never been
when
in
you were
the
a kid.
factory, but yeah.
But when I was a kid, you could drive through there and you smelled the chocolate.
Oh,
in there,
yeah.
And you opened the windows and your whole family got excited.
the-
And it was very cool. And then, of course, as factories did in the 70s and the 80s, it closed down and you lost that smell and you lost that nostalgia. So now they're starting to redevelop that area. And
Wow.
there's going to be a beautiful Hamptons Inn, which is a good, it's a Hilton property, and it will be
Yeah, those
a
are nice places.
be very nice. So I'm excited to see that. It's exciting fighting for Fulton, and I think that will all be part of that growth in Oswego County, especially towards southern Oswego County.
That's wonderful.
Yes. And further north, believe it or not, in Jefferson County, there's going to be an expansion of what's called the Sally Port View, which is currently a small event center and hotel. And they're going to build cottages, a bigger hotel, again, a Hilton property,
Oh, wow.
and restaurant.
Wow.
And that's in Chaumont. It's right on the water, which is to the east of Watertown. And I think that's exciting because those are great places for niche hotels.
Yeah.
Smaller, water-based, because there's so much water up there, and
Yep.
people love their activities. So that will, over the next 3 years, that will expand out little by little
That's wonderful.
until it becomes really a pretty big portfolio of
Yeah.
buildings. Yeah. And
That's
they'll have
great.
cottages, which I think are kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a neat neat idea.
And it's nice to see different housing.
Right.
Yes. And again, total flip side, back to Syracuse, the start of Syracuse Housing Authority changes are happening now. They're
Really?
starting with McKinley Manor, which is one of the older Syracuse housing properties downtown. And they will eventually have over 800 new units of housing for Syracuse Housing Authority over
really?
the next few years. It's related to the Route 81 demolition. And that'll come down next to that's right now 81 is next to a lot of the Syracuse Housing
Yeah.
Authority properties. And so 81 will come down, the properties will come down. Everyone from the Housing Authority will have the option of either moving back into a new apartment that the Housing Authority builds or getting vouchers to move to somewhere else in the county,
Oh, wow.
which is an exciting opportunity that people haven't
Yeah.
had before too. So that'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a great opportunity for property owners and tenants are going to end up with a beautiful new apartment. How great is that?
Beautiful new apartments, diversity of types of housing, there'll be lower density.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting to see what happens there.
And no highway overhead to
No.
divide us and make it not walkable and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like one of those trolls when I walk on
Yeah.
Route 81. So that'll be gone. And in fact, I just saw the new East Glen exit. Looks like it's open off of 81.
Oh, wow.
Coming south now. And I saw the Calvin Street exit is about ready to open.
Yeah.
So those will all be things that'll happen before they take down 81.
It's going to feel a lot more like a community where right now so much of that, especially underneath, just feels like wasted space.
Completely.
And
intimidating and not
yes.
safe. And I know
Right.
just from a walking point of
Dark,
view. Yeah.
wasted space.
It's dark, wasted space with cars coming from all directions, and you almost have to just take a deep breath and go.
You're not
and
wrong.
that's not good.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So I think unless you have something else, but I think we can wrap up and
let's
move on to Ryan.
Bring in the superstar
yeah,
here.
and again, thank you for your business. I appreciate it.
Thank you again
Thank
for
you.
everything. Literally, it's this is something that would not have occurred for us without your help.
Well,
So
I appreciate that.
I could have never navigated the
Yeah.
New York City style lease without a professional. So
And we'll show some pictures after you get moved in,
Yeah.
and we'll be recording from there.
we got a lot of fun things in store. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Christine.
We'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back. And I'm really happy to have my guest this afternoon. This is Mr. Ryan Benz. He is a partner and managing partner at Redev CNY. And welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and love to spend the afternoon with you.
Thank you. So if you don't mind, Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what your company does and where you are in real estate in Central New York right now?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, Ryan Benz, Syracuse native, Liverpool class of 2001. Go Pool. I've been in real estate for about 12 or 13 years now. I did my master's up at Syracuse, and then after I did that in entrepreneurship and emerging enterprises, I got into real estate. The first 7 or 8 years of that was done in New York City, and then my wife and I moved back to Syracuse 6 or 7 years ago. And since then, we've been really active as a development firm here in Syracuse. So I incorporated a firm called Redev CNY, which really I think speaks to the future of Central New York. This idea of redeveloping, this beautiful city, which I think is what a lot of us, Rust Belt cities are trying to do. Find a new personality and grow into the future. And so we've done some wonderful projects. The first project we did was Oh My Darling, which is a restaurant my wife and I own, and the Fits, our speakeasy, underneath it. We did 16 market units above that. Then after that, we went straight to going big. We went and we bought the Penfield building with our partners at Housing Visions. We redeveloped, and now it's called the Moyer Carriage Loft, but most folks know it as the building with the house on it across the street from Destiny. We did that. That was about a $65 million renovation to convert into a 128 unit. Mixed income, with incomes varying from 30% of area median income all the way up to 120%. So really important to us to create to diverse any poverty, try to spread that out and include a more inclusive environment. And what I love about that project in particular is that of the 128 units, 50 were set aside for people or families with serious mental illnesses or survivors of domestic violence. And we did that via partnership with Catholic Charities. So really a beautiful building. And then we continue to develop across Central New York. We just finished up the St. Matthews condominium project in East Syracuse. We're under construction on 1117 West Fayette Street. That'll be 38 affordable condo units, which I'm sure we'll chat a little bit more on. We have other deals in the pipeline in Rochester and Auburn, a new building in Syracuse, and then a bunch of smaller ones kind of along the way too. So love Central New York. I'm on a couple of different boards, the Syracuse Housing Authority, United Way, and a few others. But I believe that we're on the precipice of really exciting growth. It's really important to our community, not only to me as a human, but just to our community, to make sure it's inclusive, to make sure that folks have an opportunity to buy into home ownership, to build generational wealth and equity, and to break this cycle of poverty and of perpetual renting. And if you look at the percentage of renters within our city, it's about 65% rent. If you look at the poverty rate within children within the city of Syracuse, it's 47% of children live in poverty.
Yes.
And so these things are correlated, and we need to find opportunities to enhance and bring our market to its fullest potential.
I love that you came back to Syracuse. It's a more common story today amongst people who grew up here. And there was a time when people said, "Oh, no opportunities in Syracuse and Central New York. I'm going to leave." And now people are coming back, and that's really exciting. And I'm glad that you and your family did that. What did you bring from your opportunities in New York? What did you bring back to Syracuse?
Yeah, well, one of our best kept secrets of Central New York is I think twofold. One is the quality of life, and the second is the ability to afford it. Generally speaking, except for folks, as I just mentioned, those living in poverty and such.
Sure.
And as we were looking to where to move to after we were going to leave New York, we looked into San Diego, Chicago, Florida. And my wife and I both are from Syracuse, but so what originally brought us up was two things. One was our network of friends and family that's up here. The second thing is the ability to afford to develop. And you can afford to buy property here. You can afford to make an impact. And one of my favorite people in the world is Nancy Eaton. She's the
Yes.
executive director of the United Way, and she calls the city a Goldilocks city, in that it's small enough that you can really create change and make change, and you can see that. But it's big enough that it has all of the attributes of a great larger city. And I think she really hits it right on the head. It was all those things that kind of said, well, this is why Syracuse makes sense for us.
And that's great. So you recognize that, especially after living in a much bigger, busier, chaotic city, right?
Yeah, it was
And
time.
then it is easier to get things done here.
Sure,
Yes.
sure, yeah.
Definitely. I'm really fascinated by your St. Matthews project, your condominiums. Could you talk a little bit more about those and the fact that I know you've had a focus on rentals before, but these are actually for people to purchase.
It's my favorite project I've done to date, exactly for that reason, right? So the St. Matthews condominiums was New York State's first project to participate in the Affordable Housing Opportunity Program. It's a financing tool through HCR, which is New York State's bank. It's their Homes and Community Renewal. And what the project does, we bought an old elementary school in East Syracuse. We converted the school into 21 condos, right? Period, they're just condos. They're beautiful, quartz countertops, stainless steel, GE, Energy Star appliances, washer dryers. They're beautiful, really nice condos. They just happen to be for sale to individuals and families that make up to 100% of the area median income. And generally what that means is for a family of four, that's less than like $93,000, right? So somewhere between like 60 and 90,000 plus or minus a little bit. And New York State realized that, and let me take a step back for a second, for a long time, the way that the federal government and New York State created affordable housing was through the low-income housing tax credit, LIHTC. And what that does is create rentals, subsidized rental housing across the United States and New York specifically. Now, New York said, all right, well, instead of continuing to do that, which requires a very high dollar value per unit on a subsidy basis, we can not reallocate, but we can kind of start this other program that creates home ownership opportunities. And so I love this program because it's a lower subsidy on a per unit basis. So in my mind, it's a higher ROI for the state. It's creating home ownership units now. So what that means is that families that make up to 100% of AMI are able to buy these units, and now they're able to buy instead of renting, and now they're building equity, and now they're building community. And there's a lot of socioeconomical benefits that show when somebody owns the quality of education for their children. Their children are going to do better in school. The neighborhood property values are going to increase. The exterior condition, the quality of the neighborhood is going to go up. And most importantly is that when you own, you don't move every year, or you're not susceptible to rent increases. And that's really important to stabilize communities. And I'll pivot just for a second and say another project we're working on is very similar to this, is that we're doing this in collaboration and partnership with the Southside Community Growth Foundation. And here we're utilizing a similar program on single family homes. So this program will be, we're going to be doing 10 homes, which is the max you can do. It's called the block by block program, where you're buying, or you're going to be redeveloping 10 homes over one street or two streets, going through the south side in our capacity around the McKinley Park area, stabilizing neighborhoods, selling these to families that make up to 80% of AMI levels, so a little bit lower, but it's a higher subsidy, and that's how you make the numbers work. But that's how you create these opportunities for wealth building and community stabilization. So
Are these existing homes, or are you building new homes?
we are in contract on 10 vacant lots from the land bank. So
Great.
they're former houses, really that strategic infill of how do you stabilize these streets one street at a time.
So these are sort of missing teeth in neighborhoods, right?
That's exactly right.
And that's and for those who don't know, the land bank is usually where properties go when they're taken back for tax purposes, or if they owe the city money for other things. So and then they're very careful as to who they sell the properties to, which is great, I think.
Yeah, 100%. They want to make sure that if you go into contract on one, that you're going to be able to execute, develop, stabilize the area. And there is no doubt a preference for home ownership folks there. And that's where we kind of stepped in. We said, well, we're going to develop it, but then sell it at an affordable level to these incomes that I mentioned.
Right.
And the most important thing is that as we price these units, they're priced with the intent, and this is true for the St. Matthews, my 1117 West Fayette Street, and or the block by block program. They're priced affordably so that with the intent that nobody will spend more than 30% of their income on their housing expense. So we back in to the sale prices by understanding how much is somebody making at 80%, take away the taxes or the HOA fees, and how much does that leave over for a mortgage. So it's very, very intentional.
And then that difference is paid to the developer by the state?
Via the subsidy, which offsets the construction cost, right? It doesn't actually come to me; it goes to my construction
Okay,
right.
But
companies to pay for that.
but the cost of building the properties.
Exactly.
Right. Very interesting. And you're covering different parts of the city and the county too, which is nice.
Well, yeah, exactly right. East Syracuse, 1117 West Fayette is right off of Geddes, right next to the gear factory, kind of in between Tipperary Hill. I think as a secret to any potential developers that are listening, I think the next up and coming corridor, I think you have to West Onondaga, which has kind of been widely publicized, and Fayette from Tip Hill to downtown, full of old, wonderful factories, and we're trying to take advantage of one of those, but I think you're going to see a lot more development filling in right there.
And so convenient. Minutes to
100%.
downtown.
You can walk downtown. You
Yes.
can literally walk downtown. You can walk to Coleman's on the other side.
What's wrong with that, right?
Everything you need in life, right
That's
there.
right.
Yeah,
Downtown in Coleman's.
that's right.
That's right. Well, that's fabulous. So, and now, are you new to doing work in Rochester?
Yeah, right. So it's funny because we haven't sent out a press release, but we submitted for some benefits from the state, or from the city, excuse me. And so it got picked up there. Normally I like to keep my hat low, and once in a while these projects get out. We're in contract on a beautiful building right on East Avenue in downtown Rochester, right behind the Eastman School of Music, right next door to a wonderful market condo project, which I think shows the market value of condos down there. And for comparison, those condos are selling $500,000 to $700,000 per unit.
Wow.
So our affordable condos, which will be sold to individuals and families that make up to 100% of AMI. In Rochester, that's about $103,000 per year, so it's like 60 to 100. We'll be doing 33 units over there, a mix of studios, 1s and 2 bedrooms, utilizing this same program. So we're trying to take what we've learned here in Syracuse. We're going to continue focusing in Syracuse, and we've got other projects in the pipeline here. But we found this beautiful opportunity. It's a historic building that's on East Ave, and we're excited to take this model to Rochester.
I love East Ave in Rochester.
Stunning.
It's just a beautiful area. They've really kept a lot of their old mansions and kept things up there, which is really nice. And
Yeah.
again, very convenient to downtown Rochester also.
Yeah, I know it's a great location. I mean, East Ave just as full of restaurants, and this
Yes.
building's a little unique too in that there's actually a restaurant commercial space on the ground level as well. So there'll be an opportunity for us to bring that space back to life, not utilizing the subsidy, but still within the property itself. So
Right.
you know,
Do you see a second version of Oh My Darling in Rochester?
not a
or-
chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. No way. I love Oh My Darling. I love the
Yes.
fits. I'm so proud of it, and it's gonna stay right where it is forever.
And I love your bookstore next door too.
Oh, thanks.
That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a great
Parthenon Books, yeah.
property. Nice ladies that work in there.
Yeah,
and
they're wonderful too.
Yeah, I like to try to buy my Christmas gifts there.
Oh, thank you. That's
You're
wonderful.
welcome. No, happy to do it. Got to shop local, right?
Oh, yeah, right, right.
Yes.
Well, Oh My Darling is important for a couple of reasons. One of my favorite things in the world is to discuss neurological architecture, right? So when you walk into a space, how does it make you feel?
Right.
And we were very intentional with Oh My Darling when we did that, or the Fits. You have two different experiences, one in Oh My Darling, one in the Fits. But really, it's I think I would call it a oh shoot, the word escapes me. Like a community anchor in the sense that, that's the idea of restaurants. Like it's in the middle of the block, you're parking on Salina Street, it softens the Salina Street, brand for a little while. It's a little tougher street. So we're just very proud of the role that restaurant's had in the community and how it makes people feel as they walk in.
Oh, I think it's the best Cosmo in town. And your burgers are great too.
Thanks, thanks.
So it's definitely a good place. Convenient if you're going to Landmark, or anywhere downtown really.
Yeah, no, we're extremely proud of that one. Yeah.
That's great.
Our team is phenomenal
And you
there.
took a chance on a rough block. To
Yeah,
do
at
that
the
work.
time, and this was 2017, 2018. I mean, even still, we have Parthenon, which is our sister, company next door.
Yes.
Oh My Darling, of course, a landmark,
Yes.
but we really are encouraging more, and it's funny too, because now you take a step back and what does retail look like in the modern day? And it's not brick and mortar from a retail perspective.
Right.
It's now office, it's service businesses.
Yes.
So Salina is the main thoroughfare of downtown Syracuse. So we need more of that. Come be a tenant next to Oh My Darling is what I'll say to your listeners. I think the model proves that there's foot traffic there.
Yes.
And we need more to bring that vibrancy of a downtown market back.
Well, if you could choose the type of tenant to be next door, what are you looking for?
That's a great question. I try to be practical in the sense that it's retail as it was in 2005 is not going to come back.
Right.
So I think that an ideal tenant would be somebody that draws folks downtown, like an anchor destination type of use, and that literally could be a salon at this point. Somebody that's spoken out in advance, or service-based non-for-profits that come down and offer services there, or any kind of an office. What downtown needs is density.
Right.
And so anybody that can bring some employees downtown, I have so much respect for CX Tech, for the entire city center building. They've really done a wonderful job of activating that space over there. We're just seeing more of that perspective. And the other thing I'll say is for business folks that have their offices in the suburbs, there's plenty of parking downtown.
Yes.
Your employees will have a higher appreciation of working downtown, walking to the different restaurants, into the bookstores and the retail shops and all these kinds of things. So it's a beautiful place.
You talk about the feeling that you get when you walk into a store, and I think your bookstore is a good example of that. I don't get that feeling when I order from Amazon, that I get when I walk in the front door of your bookstore. It's very different. You grab a cup of coffee, you browse, you find some things for gifts. It makes a difference, and it slows life down a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have heard of Simon Sinek before, but he's a wonderful motivational speaker and business coach. He says people don't buy what you sell, they buy why you sell it.
Yes.
And you can really feel the why when you walk into retail spaces. You get a chance to meet the managers or the owners or the staff and experience that.
Right.
Relative to purchasing something on Walmart.com or Amazon. It's worth the extra moment.
I think we all need to do both.
Yeah, right.
because,
There's a
just
time and
because of
place.
life, right? There's
Yeah,
time and place,
yeah.
right? When I was a kid, I used to go shopping downtown with my paternal grandmother, and she would wear a dress and white gloves, and she would get all dressed up to go downtown. And I don't think we're coming back to that, but
Yeah.
it's nice to see people downtown. And certainly we have a density of apartments, so now we need to work more on density of retail
Yeah,
and
yeah.
offices.
I'm really bullish. They announced a new hotel going up on Warren Street, just
Yes,
behind my darling, across from the Syracuse.com building.
Onondaga Hotel.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And that will also include the restoration of that dilapidated parking garage that's next to it. That's all part of the same block. So again, that's an
Yes.
example of, all right, so now we're redeveloping and
Right.
restabilizing and bringing some density downtown. And those folks are, so it's coming, it's trickling,
Hmm.
but I would encourage anybody, bring your employees downtown, because that's where life is happening right now.
Right. Well, and then that's where money is spent, and then maybe people will live downtown too.
A strong city center is good for everybody.
Yes.
We need to be able to take pride in our city, and that requires us to be an active participant within it.
And you are.
Well, yeah, I'm
Yes.
trying to give my stump speech here,
Yeah.
but yeah.
No question, an advocate for housing of all types and
Sure.
real estate of all types, definitely.
Sure.
Any other projects you want to talk about and announce, or?
Oh goodness. Well, so our block by block is the next one. Well, Rochester, that one. We have one in Auburn. We're in the
Oh.
process of developing right now. That's 40 units. And then we're designing a very confidential, I can't say where, new building. New residential building. It's going to be 3 or 4 stories, depending upon how the market study comes back. I call these programs AHOP, the Affordable Condo Projects, the Affordable Housing
Mhm.
Opportunity Program. So we're going to keep going. There's phenomenal demand and need. And it's funny, like if you serve on the board of a non-for-profit, your goal should be to put the non-for-profit out of business,
Right.
like to
Yes.
solve the problem that they support.
Exactly.
And that's kind of my mentality with
Uh-huh.
affordable housing. We need so much affordable housing. There's ridiculous demand. There's ridiculous disparity between those that have and those do not have. So lots more coming on the pipeline from us, and I encourage others to look into these programs that I mentioned. And there's no competition. We need it all. So reach out if you have questions, but let's keep going.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for all that you're doing. I think it's great that you're working with different organizations too, because there are such needs in the city for the services that they provide, and hopefully we can put them out of business too.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's
Right.
fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. And for our next podcast, which will probably come out mid-December or so, my guest is going to be Jeff Cook from Cook Properties in Rochester. Have you met Jeff?
No, not yet.
Oh, he's great. I'll make sure that you meet him. He specializes in mobile home parks and now is starting to do modular housing, and he may be bringing some of that to Syracuse, so there might be an opportunity for you guys to work together.
I love it.
And he has commercial space, and he's just kind of a cool all-around guy. You'll like him.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Ryan, again.
Thanks, Lucy.